Hey guys, so my name is Hunter Sanders and I will be going over Standards 8 and 9. Standard 8 is instructional strategies. The teacher understands and uses a variety of instructional strategies to encourage learners to develop deep understanding of content areas and their connections and to build skills and to apply knowledge in meaningful ways. So, while I've been reading over this standard, uh, some of the things that I have noticed that are important is teachers should use strategies and other resources outside the classroom uh, to help diverse learners. Um, Teachers should continue to monitor how their students' progress is going throughout the classroom. Uh, get creative with your students, find common interests with them to get them engaged into whatever content that y'all are discussing. If you can find something that they can relate to, more than likely they'll become more interested. Um, it is important for teachers to consider their roles inside the classroom. We are advocates for them. We do not want them to feel like they have no one to go to. We should be the first person if they have any question in the classroom. We should be the ones that they feel comfortable enough to go to. Let's see. So, when it comes to diverse learners, everyone learns differently. And the important thing about this is teachers need to practice variety of ways of testing to see which one fits best for that classroom. You might have a student who excels at projects or something, and then you might have a student who excels at tests. It just depends on the student. And so it's important that we learn how our students perform best. Let's see. Okay. I'm sorry. I got my little notes here. I'm trying to go off of them. Try to create a topic for class discussion. This is important because this gets kids the opportunity to brainstorm, to get different ideas from other students that they may not have thought of, uh, just to get their brains going. You know, uh, when it comes to essential knowledge, uh, teachers need to understand all types of learning, and we need to be sure that we are ready and able to. Trying to think of the word. We need to be ready and able to be prepared. We need to be prepared for any type of learner that walks through our classroom. Uh, we need we need to understand different backgrounds. In the Sorry about that disruption. My brother was trying to get into my room. But anyways, like I was saying, it's totally important for teachers to understand every type of cultural background that walks into their classroom. It is very important to be respectful of every student and where they come from, their background, no matter what. And we need to teach our students that. No matter where you come from, anyone can do anything. They could be anything they want to be. Um, It's important also. Communication is very important. As I mentioned before, we want our students to feel like they can come to us, and that is a big part of communication. Communication will help a student succeed in the classroom. I have been in a classroom where I did not feel like I needed to communicate with that teacher very often, and it did not end well, to say the least. And so from past experience, it is very important to communicate with your instructors on anything that you might have a question on. Critical disposition. It is time that we bring awareness of the weak and diverse learners. And what I mean by that is not, I don't want to seem like I'm calling them out or separating them from other learners. Everyone learns completely differently, and that's fine. I learn different than you learn. And we as teachers need to be able to call out and see what is going on. If there's a learning boundary, if there's test anxiety, if any type of problem that a student is developing, we need to be on top of that. When it comes to progressions for standards, one thing that I learned going through college and trying to become a teacher, it's very important. It's not very important, but it helps students to connect old content with new content. It creates a bridge and it helps them understand more. There's multiple ways to go about work. Students get bored doing the same bell ringers every day. They get bored doing the same history assignment every day. It's important to keep things interesting in the classroom, to keep the children's interest in the classroom. We need to analyze how they learn. As I mentioned before, we need to for me, what I would do is throughout the year, I would give out different varieties of tests, and I would see, which one either helped the students more, which ones they scored higher on, and that will help in the classroom a lot. Also, on that note, find strengths and weaknesses in the classroom. Everyone has one. I have one. Be sure that you take into account what these strengths and weaknesses are. Oh, sorry. As I mentioned, be an advocate for your students. That you don't need to be their best friend. I'm not asking you to be their best friend, but we need to be there for them. Switch up how you teach. It's like I mentioned before, students get bored when they get into a pattern. It gets old to them and they lose interest. So, it's very important to keep things, I don't want to use the word random, but you want to make sure that you're keeping your students light on their toes. They never know what to expect, you know? Offer accommodations for students that need them. Not every student that you come across is going to need an accommodation, but for those who do need them, we need to make sure that we are there for them. And if there's anything that they need, that we will try our hardest to reach out to any resource that we can. Offer tools and resources for students. This is important because some students, they don't know where to even begin. Like let's say we're writing a history project. Some students don't even know where to begin. They don't know what websites to go to, what books, resources. We should not give them like word from word, but lead them in the right direction. in the way that you would want them to do it. Um, and practice how you teach so your students can see. One thing that I truly enjoyed throughout high school was group work. And for me, group work, it wasn't just a time for me to sit around, talk, and hang out with my friends. It was it was a group effort. I like working in teams. I know other students like to work in teams. They can bounce ideas off of each other. So I would recommend not every assignment can be a group project, but incorporate them if you can. And just be sure that you are engaging with your students. You don't want nobody wants to walk into a classroom where the teacher just sits in front of the desk and just writes stuff on the board and it expects them to know it on a test a week later. You you want to create bonds, relationships with them.